Hello, my name is Karl and I play the clarinet, and this is Case Files. I'd like to show you my clarinet. In fact, I'd like to show you all of my clarinets. I'll show you what's in the cases, what are the parts of the instruments, how they go together, and how each instrument makes its particular sound. Let's take a look. Are you ready? First, I'd like to show you what's inside my usual clarinet case. As you can see, there are a lot of parts. That's because it's actually two clarinets. When you're hired to play in an orchestra, you're expected to play both B-flat and A clarinet. To start with, here is the upper joint, or the left-hand joint. Then we have the lower joint, or the right-hand joint, which goes below it. We have this piece that goes on the end that looks like a bell. Then we have a smaller piece like this called the barrel. And then, of course, we have the mouthpiece. It's held on by this part called the ligature. We also have a cap to protect the mouthpiece and the reed. Next, I'd like to show you my other clarinets. I have my Eflat Clarinet in this tiny case, and in this huge case here, I have a bass clarinet. It's actually more than twice as big, but all the clarinets have more or less the same parts, just in different versions. Now I'd like to show you how the different parts go together. I'll show you with the B-flat clarinet. First, I'm going to take the upper joint with my left hand. I'm going to add a little bit of cork grease to each of these corks to keep them nice and slippery and make sure they also make a good seal. I'm going to take the lower joint with my right hand, making sure that this part right here is lifted up so it doesn't catch on the connecting part of the lower joint. Now I'm going to add a little more cork grease, this time where the bell attaches, and a little bit more cork grease now where the barrel attaches. Now we're ready for the mouthpiece. I'm going to start to get my reed ready. Now that the mouthpiece is on, I can put my reed in place. And it has to go in exactly the right spot. So this part usually takes the longest. Now we're ready to play. Or, if I'm going to set it down and play a little bit later, I'm going to use the mouthpiece cap to help protect the mouthpiece and the reed. I'll show you how the rest of the instruments go together. There they are. Let's see how they work. I'll demonstrate on the B-flat clarinet because they more or less all work the same way. The reed is here on the mouthpiece. What we do is we put our lower lip and we stretch it over our bottom teeth, and then we put our teeth on top of the mouthpiece, and this goes into our mouth about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, and then we need to blow the air across the reed, and that makes a sound. We then change the sound by using our fingers in different combinations. Some of the holes are covered by our fingers themselves, other ones are connected to keys and pads. As I add more fingers, the pitch goes down lower. As we take off fingers, the pitch goes higher. And then we also have other keys to help us play into the next higher range. And even higher than that. So the clarinet has a pretty big range. And that is true also for the E-flat clarinet as well as the bass clarinet. Obviously their large ranges are higher and lower. I'll show you those next. Here's the E-flat clarinet. Look how the size compares to the B-flat, quite a bit smaller. And you'll notice it has a much higher sound as well. Next is the bass clarinet, and I'm going to use a neck strap to help me hold it. Usually I play the bass clarinet sitting down, which is why it has this peg on the end. So this usually sits on the floor and we sit on a chair, just like a cello player might do. Next, let's see some other items that I keep in my clarinet cases. I have some extra mouthpieces as backups. I also, of course, have cork grease. I have a spare ligature. I have, this is called a reed geek. It's a little thing for adjusting my reeds. I also, of course, have a whole nother clarinet. You might have noticed in each case I have something like this. This is for cleaning the inside of the instrument when I'm done playing so that we get the moisture out of where we don't want it to stay. Probably also noticed that I have these packets here. These are for humidity inside the case to make sure that things don't get too dried out, because we do live in a high desert climate and the wood can dry out and crack, and that's all sorts of problems that we don't want to have. Hidden in the bell here, a hygrometer that can tell me if things are getting too dried out in my case, or if they're too wet. This is a collapsible stand for my clarinet. I have a box here that holds a bunch of extra reeds. You always need extra. I have earplugs, important for when you're sitting in front of noisy brass sections. Still some other spare reeds. You can almost never have too many. Dental floss, which is handy obviously for cleaning your teeth if you had just had a snack or something, but it also comes in handy on woodwinds. You can use dental floss in an emergency situation to wrap around that cork so it'll get you through the concert. I have pencils. Every musician needs to have a pencil at all times. I also have a very large metronome, Dr. Beat, some sheet music. I carry a small amount around with me. And then I also have started carrying around an iPad, which is useful for having a lot of extra sheet music without carrying all of my sheet music. Thanks for watching Case Files with the Reno Phil. Case closed.